Hi everyone. Good morning, especially on a Sunday morning. Everybody is here. So I hope you all at the end of the session have a better understanding of the importance, benefits, and challenges associated with the pursuing research while in high school. Okay. So I'm Shanti Balaraman. I'm the president and CEO of Children's Innovation Center, and this is my passion, research. So let me dive into it, and I kindly request you all to have a pen and paper, jot down your questions, and hold on to your questions until we open it up for Q&A, and then I'll be glad to answer any questions. Okay, so let's dive into it. Okay. So in the United States, there are more than 4,300 higher education institutions, and out of that, 2,800 plus are four-year universities, and more than 1,500 are two-year colleges. So why do we need to know this fact, right? So let's look into that, and what has this got to do with research? So all of these 4,000 plus colleges, we could categorize those, and in here as shown in this, graph here. So you are right here in high school, and many students, they want to jump all the way to the other end, you know. So you have to see, you are here, how do we get there? And what do you need to do? So, and then you also, I'm going to share the benefits as a person, how some of the research helps you as well. So you will get a clearer understanding. So if you try doing research, so you're able to demonstrate your intellectual strength. And so even though you may not end at that very end, top 10 colleges, which many people, aim for, you might end up very close to that, when you're pursuing other opportunities beyond the school and your school classroom. So if you go one or two tier down, then those universities offer the students who have demonstrated really good intellectual strength, their intellectual vitality. They do get quite a lot of very lucrative merit scholarships. Okay, so why do we need to do extra beyond the classroom? Is because, if you're aiming to the other end, top 10 or anywhere in that line, then you need, if you need to jump there, then you need to do more than what it takes from just your school GPA. So now let's look into the importance and benefits of pursuing research. There are numerous benefits. We are going to look at few of those. First of all, pursuing research fosters your intellectual curiosity and helps you to build genuine love for learning. So colleges want to know, how do you learn beyond the classroom? As you all know, learning is a lifelong process. It doesn't end with a classroom. So, building those habits of learning beyond textbooks, beyond the classroom. Research is a great opportunity which empowers students to ask questions and go and find the answers. That is another very important skill. And they are practicing how to jump into the unknowns. So now let's look into the soft skills and the benefits, of doing this. So the student becomes more self-confident to face the unknown. So they are becoming aware about the world around them. They know that when you ask a question, you don't get the answer straight away. So they have to build that patience and perseverance because they need to find the answer. They need to go for, seek that answer. You cannot just spoon feed them with all the information, so that is a very important skill. So the more you go seek the answers, you're looking for the answers, you also build the listening skills. And the more you learn, you will discover there's quite a lot more to know. And there's quite a lot more that you don't know. So that develops humbleness. Okay. And, and you will learn that, while you're pursuing research, that not everything turns out the way you want. And, there will be things that may not work out exactly the way you want. So those are fine. So you learn from those mistakes, and the students learn to focus because it is their curiosity that is driving. So they are able to focus. So another benefit skill also is it helps them to build critical thinking and problem solving skills. Through research, students learn to analyze information, evaluate sources, and draw well reasoned conclusions. So building this skill, it's very important because right now there are so many sources, and the students need to know how do they evaluate the source, which one is correct, which one is not correct, so they need to have that skill, and they need to analyze and be able to make their own conclusions. Many people now, even including adults, we are expecting somebody else to analyze and give us the conclusions about it, right? So that is going to be a very dangerous thing if you're expecting others to interpret things for you. You should be able to build that skill where you are analyzing the facts and you are able to make your own recent conclusions. So if you do that, then what happens is then you get the confidence, you're able to tackle complex problems, and you're comfortable with handling ambiguity. When it comes to research, you will see that you need a lot of creativity to think how to solve something. To You need a lot of creativity to even to understand something in depth. How do you ask the questions? The questioning needs to evolve. You cannot ask one question and expect a whole depth answer to be able to understand something fully. So even the questioning, you need to be creative in questioning. You need to ask different questions to find meaningful answers. So most of the time, we associate art and creativity, and we don't associate science, research, and creativity. But creativity is extremely important, in research and science itself. So, and the other thing is, science is constantly evolving. So you should feel comfortable to challenge a hypothesis, to question a status quo, and analyze the facts and make your own decision. So you can see these are all essential skills that will help the student be successful in higher education as well as in their professional life. The student also develops a growth mindset. So you will face setbacks. When you're going deep into research, you will face setbacks and failures. And, so that is natural part of the process. So how do you learn from the mistakes? So that is very important. So, you know, you need to build that resilience. You need to overcome obstacles. You faced an obstacle, then you need to know that's okay. How do you learn from those mistakes and how do you overcome the obstacles? And it improves flexibility. If you're going in one path and that path doesn't work, you need to change course. You need that flexibility. And once you do this, you will feel more comfortable to take on more challenges. So that is a strength that you inner strength that you build. And throughout, because you are exploring and constantly learning, it helps the student build better learning habits as well. So as you can see, this is a big journey. So they pursue this journey. It helps them build this growth mindset to achieve their goals. They are on a journey to keep learning. So the skills that helps them, it prepares them well for the future. So high school research introduces students to various methodologies, practices, and ethical considerations both in the academic and the professional research. So it's very important that these skills, whatever skills they are building while doing research in high school, you can see that even though they may not become a scientist in the future, okay, those skills are transferable. So the skills are transferable to any field, and the knowledge that they acquire through this process can also be transferred. So, and they understand the role of ethics in everything that they are doing. And they also, through this process, when they are introduced to research and in depth thinking and seeking answers while in high school, they start realizing their own strengths and weaknesses. Okay, so that is important. Self realization is important. And if they like something that they're doing and they're learning something, they start developing passion for that. So, and the ability to see problems as opportunities. They are now not whining about something and saying, this is a problem, that is a problem. Rather, they will look at the problem as an opportunity to pursue so that they feel confident that they can find a solution for that problem. So you can see these are all really good, skills. It puts them on a competitive advantage both in college application as well as in the future job opportunities. But I know today's focus is, on college applications. So let's focus on the college applications more and see what are they looking for in the college applications. Okay, and how does it all work? So in the college application, what they're looking for in a highly competitive colleges where there's quite a lot of competition, they want to see the student demonstrate their intellectual vitality. And these are the characteristics that they are looking for. You know, is the student demonstrating intellectual curiosity to learn something? Are they curious about anything in this world around them? And when they're doing something, originality matters. And research shows the tenacity and hard work. It helps them to demonstrate those things. Are they motivated? Do they have an initiative for pursuing this? And as you're learning, the student, they mature too. They learn about themselves. So that maturity and insight can be demonstrated as well. And it's an opportunity to show their responsibility, their academic depth, and their commitment to that area, what they are looking for, whatever they were curious about. It all starts with intellectual curiosity. You first need to be curious about something, then only you would be able to go and, in depth about all of these things. So that commitment to find the answer, even though you may not get the answer immediately. So that is a very powerful skill that you can demonstrate, and colleges are looking for that. So it also builds that genuine interest in learning and intellectual independence. So students who go through this, and you can see, with all of these things, what they're looking for here. Do you see any, like scientific words or technical jargons here? No. So I want you to pay close attention to this. What they're looking for in college is not, I did this research and these are all the technical details about it, and you don't need to jump into all that jargons. They're not looking for that. What they're looking for is demonstrate these skills. Okay, so that is a big difference. Okay, so this is what they're looking for, and you don't see anywhere where it is any particular major, irrespective of the major, irrespective of the pathway that you're going to pursue. These are the skills that they're looking for and the qualities they want to see demonstrated in the application. So let's debunk some myths here. So when it comes to research, people think that expensive lab equipment experience adds more weight in the college application, and they feel like, no, you must do research only in the area of your major. If you're going for computer science, you must only do in that area. If you're going to pre-med, then you have to be in a lab, putting on the lab coat and doing all those things, or find a cure for cancer. It is like that. It's not okay. So there's quite a lot of myths around this. The truth is, whether it is high school or undergraduate, okay, even in the undergraduate research opportunities, it extends across disciplines and it takes many forms. And you saw that the benefits it offers regardless of major. So a pre-med student can do research in humanities and it has the same weight. Okay. The subject of the research matters less than the quality. So as we saw, what is more important is these characteristics. You need to be able to demonstrate these characteristics in an area of your curiosity. Okay, so as you can see, this is beyond subject areas. So here's a quote from Dr. Alex Little, clinical professor. He said, "The only type of research that impressed me and enhanced my opinion of the applicant was sincere, committed research done for its own sake and not simply to aid the applicant's competitive status." So, how do you tell if a research is impressive? So, the student should demonstrate that the research was part of their intellectual curiosity. So, that is very important, okay, to show that it should spark from that intellectual curiosity. And so, one of the advantages of doing a research earlier and not at the end of 11th grade or in the beginning of 12th grade, it's it's better late than never. You still get those skills, but if you do it earlier, you would be able to pursue, to continue. You can continue with some actions, which adds more weight. So the student demonstrates their intellectual curiosity, and they should show their aspiration to continue that whatever they were curious about further with the actions and applying that knowledge and skill. Okay, a plan to continue the research in college too. So you're pursuing, no, it doesn't have to be exactly in that same line. Now that you have demonstrated how your curiosity will carry through your learning path, how do you go seek the answers? You have demonstrated that in one area. Then, when you're applying to a college, you will look at the opportunities offered in that college and you will show that why you want to continue, seeking more answers, and you can develop more areas of curiosity. Okay, so you can translate that from one area to another area. So it's not like if you do curiosity and you pursue your research in one area, you're tied to only that field or that area. So you're demonstrating your ability, and you know the steps what it takes to continue further. So a research should never be reduced to a mere checkbox on a college application. If you feel like I did research, check, um, that's not going to add any weight at all. So there are various types of research. research is a general English word, right? So I want to explain there are many types of research, and not all research, carries the same weight as well. So this is the fundamental research is a common type of research where one seeks to understand something more in depth, how something works. I want to know something more in depth. So then you would do this fundamental research to broaden your understanding about something, about some theory, some explanation, or some phenomena. You want to understand that. So that is a fundamental research. Descriptive research is you're trying to understand something and then able to describe what are all the characteristics, okay, that of the phenomena you're studying. So you could go into qualitative and quantitative description of that. So that is a descriptive research. Associational research is associating one thing in relationship with the other. So one, two or more variables, doing that correlation and causal comparative studies, those are associational research. Applied research here is identifying a solution to a specific problem and finding answers to specific questions. So it's often used in the business engineering fields where they try to find practical applications to problems. So quantitative method, it's a process where you are getting the data and then analyzing it and trying to find patterns to make some conclusions about that. So that goes across in all of these types of research. Okay. So the higher level of research, which is very hard, which could take multiple years, if you go deep, is the intervention research where you're looking into the effectiveness of a treatment, or something that is happening. You're experimenting something, so collecting that data, those things take time. So the intervention research is a little bit more time consuming research, which so it carries more weight because you're showing the commitment also there. Then there is discovery research and invention research. These are really hard. Discovery is like you are looking at something that, most people ignore, and you're able to recognize something out of it. You understood something in a different way. So making a discovery. So, so examples like, everybody was familiar with the DNA, but now we are starting to explain things, looking at it in a much different way. So these are different types of discovery research, where how do you make observation that are there, and but you are able to abstract something more meaningful, or abstract different applied science from that observation. And then invention research is then, how do you apply those knowledge that from the discovery, and something that has never existed before, the solution has never existed. So some products like like the telephone, light bulb, airplane, these are all inventions, right? So where I help as a research mentor, my passion is in the discovery and invention area. So this is where I spend quite a lot of time, and I do take a few students a year, and I directly mentor them, to build the skill to make a discovery and to apply that discovery to create something novel solution that doesn't exist. So these are very powerful, and it kind of transforms the student. They have never learned science that way, because now they are creating science. Instead of learning somebody else's discovery and the facts, it's a skill where they are now learning how to make their own science. It's a very transformational once you get that skill. It's and they never stop. Their intellectual curiosity keeps driving them, and they keep going on and on, continuing from there. So, what are the challenges, for pursuing high school research while in high school? We need to understand the challenges. So, the lack of basic research background. So, high schoolers, they come to high school. Yes, the school doesn't prepare them really well to be able to learn, the basic foundation of research and the methodology. So, that is a huge hurdle there. And formulating a topic. So if you see right from science fairs all the way, through high school, you see, I have never seen in the science fair so far. You ask how did they come up with the idea? They would have searched on the internet. So that kind of, if all the your life through high school, from elementary to high school for science fairs, you're just searching on the internet, getting a topic, and then trying to recreate that same experiment and then sharing that. How is that going to help the student? Maybe a little bit more understanding, hands-on experience with that same understanding the fact of that already known fact and experiment, so they don't build the skill to formulate, to look around and come up with their own topic. So that is a big skill gap at high school. Dealing with a research team, mentor, suddenly it's a big shift for them. So as you can see, from middle school to high school itself, they find huge, changes jump. So now working with, a team within the research area and working with the mentor, they're not going to be spoon fed with the information. So that is another important thing is they have to do quite a lot of self learning as well, and they need to be able to compromise some of the things and be able to dedicate and really work together. So that is another big shift. And yeah, insufficiency of resources. If we need some other things for data collection or something, you don't have those tools and resources available, at high school. And colleges do understand that with a lack of resources. So they're not looking for, have you worked in an expensive lab and did you collect all the, use these high cost equipments to collect this data. Will that add weight? No, it will not. So they are aware of this insufficiency of resources. It's like, how resourceful are you in continuing to seek answers is what they want to know. So, and the students do lack the skill in data analysis, looking at analyzing complex data, making some sense out of it, meaningful conclusions. There is huge skills gap there as well. And once it gets difficult, and with the school on top of their school work, it's hard for the students to stay motivated. So that is another thing. It is demanding. Research will be lengthy and it will be demanding. So maintaining that enthusiasm is very important as well. So that only some students are able to do that. They develop that self-discipline, that resilience, and they are able to have that self motivation. Despite all of these challenges, you can see that pursuing high school research while in high school helps them with the valuable experiences, right? And it prepares them with the skills that they need for both their academic and career pursuits. So it's very important that even though they may not become a scientist, I want to emphasize this, it's not like you do a research, you are going to end up only being a scientist. And you might think, oh, that is not the way I want to pursue, my future pathway. So it's not like that. You saw the various skills that it helps build, and those skills and knowledge are transferable. So it is very important to gain those skills. So the biggest challenge, how students are spending their time. So you can see boredom is on the rise. Kids keep saying, how is high school? It's boring, boring. I'm bored, I'm bored. You hear this word a lot. So they do have a very powerful phone, which can get them all the information they can. They want, if they want to seek some information, they have it right at their fingertips, but they don't know what to seek, and they end up looking at TikTok and other things, and spending their time, and they get bored. So research helps them overcome some of these things, and we are going to look into how you can help as a parent and as a student. How can you overcome these challenges? So especially with the girls, the boredom is more than boys during the adolescent age. So another study found that boredom keeps increasing from 8th grade, 10th grade, 12th grade. It's increasing, it's doubling. Um, and also, 1 in 5 teens have reported high levels of boredom. See, these are boredom will has a negative effect on both academic performance, their mental health, and their behavior. The reason for this boredom is they do lack a sense of purpose. So, which is a major factor that contributes to boredom and dissatisfaction in teens. So, a sense of purpose. What is a sense of purpose? Is a feeling that you have with a meaningful goal, or they have a direction, and you're trying to make a positive difference in the world. They feel that yes, they can make a positive difference in the world. So having a sense of purpose can help them stay motivated, resilient, and hopeful. It also forces them to figure out how to multitask and manage time. Once they are able to stay motivated, they know that, any homework, I've seen this practically, with students. Once you spark their intellectual curiosity and they're doing all this additional work, the homework which they used to do for 2 hours, school homework, they are able to finish that in an hour and make time for this. They are able to multitask and manage time efficiently because now they are driven to do these things. So they are doing well at school and they are able to take on additional things. So they're building that stamina for learning as well. So just like a physical stamina, mental stamina also, it's by practice only you can build. Okay, so you have to push yourself, practice, practice, taking on more mental challenges. Then you will see that taking on more challenges does not tire you. So it's similar like a physical stamina. Think about the mental stamina in the same way. We need to exercise the intellectual stamina as well. So what are some ways students can develop the sense of purpose? Is as parents, help them to explore their interests and passion. So this is a long journey and it will not happen in one day. Okay, so this is a journey. Everybody thinks that high school, you're going to high school and then college. You don't need to do anything other than focus on the school, GPA. There's so much more. You need to understand who they are. So they need to develop the sense of purpose. So explore, help them to explore their interests, support them in pursuing their ideas, and help them. Where you can step in as a parent is help them build that time management skills and setting realistic goals, and let them challenge themselves. And when they're challenging themselves, praise their efforts and progress and not just the outcomes. See, when you are praising their effort, outcome will follow. You don't put emphasis on the outcome but praise their efforts and progress. Help them build their self learning skills. So this is a huge problem. Kids are coming, I don't know this. They're expecting immediate answers. It's because many students have been immediately, it's tutoring, tutoring, tutoring. Too much tutoring has only hurt them. See, nowadays, especially nowadays, most of the answers are on Khan Academy, on the internet. There's, let them you build some skills of seeking their own self-learning skills. Let them allow them to, build that skill. Because if you don't have that self-learning skills, they're going to struggle in college too. So you do see many students, somehow they will get into a college, but then they struggle there. So, if you want them to succeed after getting into college, the self learning skill is very, very important. They need to know how to study from the books, they need to know how to find their answers. So, think about too much tutoring and try to balance that, okay? Help them understand their world. So, this is again another huge problem. Parents think that, let me protect my child from the entire external world. So, they don't discuss anything about the real world, like the current news or what's happening around the world. So, that is a huge problem. You are trying to raise your child to survive in this world. You need to, let them understand their world. Okay, so the kids, watch news, watch some documentaries, discuss that with them and help them foster. See, what this does is when they're looking about at the world around them, they find problems and they will see where their strength is and they will find that purpose, how they can help. Every child has a strength and everybody is unique. So everybody can contribute in their own ways. You know, so they need to find that, and it sparks that intellectual curiosity. That is very, very important. So, unless you're talking about something, why is this happening? They need to ask that question. So, that curiosity matters. Even if you don't know, another big thing is as a parent, it's okay to say to your child that you don't know. If they ask a question where you don't know the answer, you can say, I don't know that. That's a good question. Let's find the answer together. See, that is a very healthy way. You're trying to show how you are pursuing steps you're taking to go seek that knowledge as well. You don't know the answer. Now you need to find the answer. So these are all really good things, to that a parent can do to help the child, improve their time, how they're using their time. Remember, curious mind is never bored. So if your child is saying, I'm bored, then they're not being curious. So curiosity is one of the great secrets of happiness. Okay. So curiosity actually is not a skill, it is a cognitive process. And that cognitive process is initiated only when you ask a question. This is important because, see, how our society has moved on now is we stop them from asking questions. We stop them, that stops the curiosity, but then we are dumping all the facts and say, learn this, learn this, learn this. You must become intelligent. That's not how the cognitive process works. So, understand how our cognitive process works. Through a question is what you will spark the curiosity. Albert Einstein said the important thing is to not to stop questioning. Curiosity has its own reason for existing. Why? Curiosity is a cognitive process, right? If you understand that, it initiates, it activates the brain's dopaminergic circuit. So everybody is familiar with the dopamine, right? It is a reward neurotransmitter. When you're curious, the body rewards you with a feel good hormone that will motivate you to go and find the answer in creative ways. Now that, expands your neural networks. It shapes your mind, and then that's what makes you intelligent, and it empowers you when you are seeking this knowledge out of your own curiosity. You're so happy that you found the answers, and then you will start using your that knowledge in practical ways. Success will then follow. See, for to do research, it must come from the question, and the child needs to know how to ask their own questions. We don't just search the internet and find a question and then work on it. The child needs to ask their own question because it's a cognitive process. If you understand this, then you will understand how we can foster them, how we can help them, to become more curious and intelligent and be successful as well. So, um, a short, brief about my Emerging Innovators Research Program. It's an interdisciplinary research where, as I said, I teach how to make a discovery and invention. So they do learn new techniques, they make observations, they create, they abstract science, they applied science from their observations and use that to solve a real world problem. So most of the research, if you look, if you look into these famous scientists like Albert Einstein and all, so you can see that they proposed theories, and those theories we are applying it in so many different ways. The application expands, right? We are finding new ways to apply those theories. So when the scientist's goal is not necessarily they need to think about the application upfront, but kids are lacking the connection if we go that route now. So which is why I've added on helping them to apply their finding to a real world problem, so they feel that connection, that they have that ability, that they can, their knowledge, their work is going to be helpful in the real world. Okay. So here, research carries a whole lot, it's a different section in the application itself. So in many top universities, research, is a supplementary submission. So research mentors are permitted to submit additional recommendation letter beyond the teachers and counselor. This is a separate thing. And when you submit, research, then that is reviewed. Sometimes some colleges like Yale and all, or Caltech, they are actually asking for the actual paper itself. So then those papers are not reviewed by the admissions officers, they are reviewed by the department. So they are able to understand some of those jargons if you have done, and be able to understand, is the student really have they done in depth. But they're still looking for the qualities that I shared earlier. They're looking for all of those qualities. And if you're applying for honors colleges, that is an additional application on top of the regular application, and that some of those colleges allow additional submission of research, like Harvard and all. You can see here, I've circled this. They don't like to see teamwork, because when it is a team, so you really don't know, exactly what the student has done, contributed, to the research. So they are really asking for, if you're the primary author, then submit, then we will look into it. Right. So here you can see, Caltech, you can see here the research is reviewed by one of the faculty members in their in the admission committee, and it's not reviewed by the admission staff. Okay. many universities, like all of these, universities, they encourage pursuing research when you get into undergrad itself, right? So research is not only for PhD and master students. So undergrad students are encouraged to participate in research, and many colleges, they want to see, are they capable of coming and taking advantage of their undergraduate research programs? Do they have those skills? So they like to see how you have gone, with your intellectual curiosity and more, show your intellectual strength, how deep you could go, which is all beyond your GPA. Okay, so I want to, emphasize that all of these things, what I'm talking today, is beyond your GPA. So Yale, here, because I do quite a lot of recommendation letters and my students have submitted these, you can see, it's a supplement, they attach the paper there. And, as a research mentor, I do give in those recommendation letters. And when I write, I do have and emphasize on their qualities, because that is what they want to see more than the technical jargon, which is obviously in the paper. If they want to know the technical details, they can look at the paper. But what they are looking for is a validation from the research mentors about their skills, their character, their quality. That is what they want to know. Is the student really, ready to pursue further research and that kind of, intense learning? So, and here's another, college, Columbia, where, so these are directly going into the college applications and directly to the colleges, and you cannot get a letter and submit it. Okay. So here's the research program, the interdisciplinary research. The reason, I'm doing interdisciplinary research is real world problems will cross subject lines. And in order to solve a real world problem, you need to apply various subjects together, which is very hard. And I love those kind of challenges and helping the students, do that. So you can see there are many phases here. So the first two phases, phase one and phase two, is building their knowledge and skills so that they can go, because this is a discovery. Making a discovery is not easy. So in phase two, they do learn the methodologies, how the industry R&Ds are using these methodologies to make the new discoveries. So with and along with that, I share various industry verticals, because students are not familiar with all the industry verticals and the opportunities there is, where all science can be applied, where all new ideas are needed. They have absolutely no idea because they are not exposed to that. So I show that in various industry verticals, how your skill can go and you can contribute to this world and be successful. Money will follow. Once they are able to dive deep and able to, contribute in that area, money will follow. So we don't show the students to chase money. You chase your passion, and then you're going to be happy doing that, and success will should follow. So up to the phase two itself will go in the college application. It is graded, and those that's a thing can be reported in college, and I have on my website how it is reported. Phase three is where I go one-on-one. I mentor the students. So the research one-on-one mentoring is a very in-depth research where they do write 40-50 pages. Students are not like, you have to do a lot more hard work, and they struggle with the writing. Many students do struggle with the writing, and scientific writing, they are not used to it. So that is something that if they are persevering and they're willing to work, those students do really succeed, and they are able to write 40-50 pages. Even if you had taken AP research or AP seminar in school, at most they are writing 4 to 6 pages, not 40-60 pages. But this is where they stand out. Those students who have submitted those, they have got from full ride to top colleges. They've got really merit scholarships and really into the colleges of their choices. So there is another track called Capstone Project Track. So here you can do it either as an individual or as a group. This is for students where they don't want to write 40, 50 pages. This scientific finding is just a 2 to 4 page writing with a video publication. So they will be doing a video where it's communicating the science findings through a video, a little bit of like a marketing, because scientists need to know how to communicate to common people as well. That is a very important skill, how to communicate. So that is a video publication. It's a different kind of communicating the findings. And it's because, as you can see, we showed all the skills that it's helping students build. And not all the students can be able to tap into all those opportunities. That is why there are capstone project track. Even if they are working in a group, they get little bit experience and build that skill. As if they are confident, they can either do one-on-one. After this, if they want to go into very deep research, they could go, or they could stop. They still would benefit from that experience. So the methodology, you can see it is more in depth compared to your regular science methodologies, because this is where you are making a discovery and then abstracting science from that and applying it to real world. So all of these details are on the website on this page, and the steps are clearly explained on the website. So I will now open up to Q&A. So if you guys could, instead of me reading the chat, could you please come online and ask the question, and I'll be glad to answer.
Hi, thank you so much for the very, very valuable presentation. We were able to learn a lot, and this is really an eye-opener. Being a high school mom, we've always thought that, we have to join a program, we have to do something, we have to join a course or do internship or, whatever the usual routes that we are being advised. So this is very, very helpful, and thank you. Quick question. How do we go about maybe like choosing a topic of research, or where do we start?
So that is a very important skill, right? So that is where exposure matters. So I, as I explained, how they need to know what is happening around them. Even around them, there are so many. That is why, starting off that curiosity from a real world issue helps them to go deep. So from an initial question and going deeper and deeper and deeper into that, and that is something that I'm doing in my course slowly. How do you ask questions? So if this is an issue, how did a scientist ask the question? That process, that skill, we need to build. So when a topic is original, it carries more weight. If you're going to existing, labs and mentors, the research topic is chosen by that mentor, of course you will gain some experience and knowledge. Any knowledge is good. So but again, if you're really looking for those top colleges and those things, then you need to have your own topic and show that your originality there.
Got it. Thank you.
The kids who came to my program, none of them had a topic in mind. It's through the program and sharing about the various verticals and exposing them, so helping them to figure out the answer. Even a real world issue, if you ask 10 people, 10 people will look at the same real world problem in 10 different perspectives. So it's, you don't have to shy away from an issue, because you could be looking at it in a completely different perspective. So we have to encourage students to see what perspective they are looking at and how they want to address that issue. It is a skill. It's a skill that we have to help them build.
Ms. Balraman, thank you very much for the very valuable presentation as well. My question is, two questions. One is that could you share, if you can, some sample topics that your students have sort of researched on in the past, offline. That's great. Second question is, how do colleges determine that um, this is a validated research or a group or something like that? How do they know if it came from high school or a private institution like yours or a community college? Or however, how do they do that?
So the first question you asked about papers, there are publications, and the link is there on the page. If you go to my website, from there everything is linked. Okay, publications. You can go to the publication. You can read their entire papers. So the second question is, how do they know? Is it legitimate, or is it those kind of things? It's the type of research and what the student is first. It has to pass the admissions officer, right? If you're going into the supplementary level, so you first, the admissions officer, they will be reading your essay, they will be reading your activities, and if you are not demonstrating that research in term, it cannot be just an activity or somewhere, and you haven't used that skill or applied that knowledge anywhere else in your application. So which is why I showed the skills they are looking at, is the student genuinely carrying through it? Then it goes into, usually the supplementary submission comes after you hit the submit to the main application. Okay, so this is a separate link they will give where you can submit these papers. And the mentor also, right? So the mentor, their credibility is there as well. So the recommendation letter goes in. And so the colleges could make their own determination. And like the Caltech and other universities where they're asking for the actual paper, and it is read by the faculty, right? So they can understand the depth. Kids have gone in and presented in scientific conferences. They would hear feedback from scientists, professionals. So those are another ways they could validate their research as well. So there are many ways.
Sorry, can I ask you the question again, please? So are you saying that the research is validated with the mentor or whoever was helping the kid with the research to attestify that research through letter of recommendation or saying something to that effect that they've actually worked under them? Is that how they validate it, the admissions committee?
So they double check. It's like all the information must corroborate throughout the application. What the student is telling about them and what they are actually is, that is why they are corroborating all the information in so many different ways there.
Okay, so they're actually trying to bring a correlation on if their student research area matches what they've done for the other activities. Is that something you're...
Yes, so the student, how far the depth matters, right? So is the student, is it like a checkbox? They're only saying, okay, 2 weeks or, or 2 months, I did research. Then there is nowhere else they are able to explain what it meant to them. So then it does not carry weight.
So, but what happens to the research paper? Are you saying the faculty will actually read it? Like who actually?
Yeah, some colleges, as I showed you, it's a Caltech.
Okay.
It's reviewed by the faculty.
Got it. But not every college does it, is it?
No, if you're looking for highly competitive colleges, that's why I showed there are more than 4,800 colleges in US. Not but students want to jump. Everybody wants, have you? I want to go to Ivy. Everybody is looking at top 10.
Right.
So the thing is, if you are preparing yourself, with the top 10, or see, up to the summer of 11th grade, you should not worry too much about the college. You can have a dream, but then you have to see how much you can deliver and demonstrate. So which is why, let me go back to that slide, so here you can see, in the slide, if you don't dream and you can have a dream, but you should not get stuck with a college, so you can say, okay, I want to reach there, by doing all these things, beyond the classroom, I showed all the various skills that a child develops, which is beyond just the needed for college. Even as a person, it helps them a lot. So, even if they don't land in that exact college, they would still land somewhere better than where they are now. Any other questions?
Thank you.
I have a couple of questions. Regarding this research opportunity, only Ivy Leagues look for have this option to submit admissions under Caltech, and what about UCs? Do they have this option to submit research paper as well?
Yeah, so UCs, then it is from your essays and what you are submitting first. So UCs, the research, goes in a different sections in the activities, and you need to write it in the essay as well.
So which means that for UCs, it goes through admission. It might not
Admissions
go to
officers, but if they doubt something, UCs are putting in a lot more into auditing, right? So anything, even what you say in your essay, if they doubt, they will audit it. They will say, show me the proof, show. Okay. And they will say what type of proof is accepted in their email. You will see in their message what is accepted, not anything. Okay.
And so on the
If
other
you
question,
get audited, then they will look more in detail.
so when you say that audited, do the students get more questions? That do they ask them to provide more proof?
Proof, yes.
But there is
It
no
could
way
be
that
in any activity. It could be in any activity or anything that you mention in the essay as well. So which is why, you don't say things, I did all of these activities and there is no proof. If they doubt, they're going to, and see, there are two ways auditing happens, right? So one is it triggers a doubt when they are reading your application, which is something you must avoid and can be avoided. You don't put false information and trigger a doubt. So that can be completely avoided. The second type is random selection. Randomly an application is picked and they ask for proofs within that application, and it could be anything, whether what you have mentioned in the essays to your activities to anything in the application can be audited.
okay.
Okay.
At what point do they ask this?
So it happens around December every year. So students could get randomly, see, when you have a genuine proof and you did it, you don't need to worry about if your application gets randomly picked. You don't panic, right? So they will give you, so they don't give too much time either. So because then
that's not the question I'm trying to get at. Is it like before the supplement is asked for, or is it after granting admission on conditional basis, or when is it?
no, it is before admissions.
Okay.
Auditing happens before admissions.
Because I heard, I don't know enough to tell, but I heard that they hardly have 5 minutes to look at an application.
Yes, so they do within it's about 8 to 10 minutes is an average time they take, and within that they are experienced to be able to see.
Okay, so they can reach out on a one-off basis is what you're saying.
Yes, so as I said, they are adding more manpowers to randomly pick as well, which can happen. Random selection, you could be selected to and ask for proof, but you shouldn't trigger a doubt.
That's a good thing. If they want to actually audit, it means that that's the candidate potentially that's going to get admitted if everything works well for them.
No, it's a random. It's not like that. It's a random again, right? So whether they accept that and whether they move that application forward for consideration or not, it's not like you got audited, so you are a much better position compared to the other person who's not audited is not right.
Okay. Yeah, I was curious because I thought there are only two buckets, whether somebody's rejected or accepted, or I don't know.
No, that is after this happens in December.
Okay, got it.
Okay. So there are applications that are randomly picked for auditing, and by January all the proof must be submitted. Minimum 2 people review the submission to see if is it acceptable. If it is acceptable, then that application proceeds to continues into consideration.
I have one more question. These you mentioned about Ivy Leagues and Caltech for these scholarship submissions. Are there any other private colleges that, in your experience, that that are heavy on research and that they actually look for these kind of research submissions?
Yes,
by
they do. Yes, they do. Many four-year universities, they do have undergraduate research programs, and they like to see students who have shown prior work in those areas, which is where those students are offered merit scholarships. They want to attract them to their universities, and which is in this thing I tried to show it more visually. So getting into the top colleges and getting scholarship is a very slim probability. Okay, so because getting admission itself is hard. As you go down the tier, you can see that those universities will throw a lot of money, and they want such students to come to their universities.
Can you give any examples of these type of college lists? A couple of
There are
lists.
many. There are thousands.
Okay.
Ms. Balraman, I want to ask a different question. So I like the fact that you emphasize more on the research process and not the topic and the outcomes. I really like that. That helps broaden the discussion. And my question is, are you more like coaching the process and bringing out that curiosity, and the individual, like let's say somebody goes into some depth, any topic, it doesn't really matter. Do you have a team or something like that that will coach on the subject as well, or is it up to the student to go find their own sources and stuff?
So it's a combination here. Okay. So the thing is, yes, I do coach on the methodologies, and I do have quite a lot of experience directly to help. And the kids do interview the professionals also. Okay, so they do want to know if they want to understand the current solution, because you see, in this world, a billion people, somebody would be thinking of a solution. And many solutions are already there. So you need to understand the pros and cons, and they have not just academia people. My students have interviewed professionals who are working in those areas to understand the areas more in depth as well.
Got you. So you are more of obviously, I really like the motivation part of it, because I'm sure not many students are immediately jumping out and figuring out exactly what they do research. But I think that's where the strength comes in. I like the way you call it as a lifelong intellectual process about how to cognitive learning. But then when it comes to an individual, like a detail or something like that, you will help them try to get there as well, I suppose.
Yeah. So
Okay.
one of the thing, me working with high schoolers, even at the master's level, it's kind of the same. They do expect more hand holding. Me working with the high schoolers, I do know where I push them to find the answer, and where I know where I can give the answer. I do want to help them to build that skill. See, tomorrow they shouldn't need me. That is the kind of mentoring I do.
Very well said. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions?
I just wanted to check if the recording is going to be available, because I missed most of it.
Yeah. I will share the recording.
Thank you.
One last question is that in the flow chart that you showed about identification of the topic and how long does it take, etc. That seems to be a long process. So if somebody starts wherever, do they work through the academic year as well with you?
Yeah.
Not just summer or anything like that, right? If they're working with you for
Yeah.
over a year or so. Is that
Yeah,
right?
so we want them to commit. Okay, I do have like a time frame, recommended time frame. So I want them to really, to be able to commit. I've had students who really, you can read the blogs also on the children'sinnovationcenter.org, how students showed that they didn't know which major, right? So they knew that they want to go into STEM, but 11th grade has come, they don't know which major to go, and how the program helped them to, because I share various industry verticals, and that also opens up their eyes. And students have shared how the program helped them to narrow down and why they were able to ask for that major in college. So you can read about some of the students, how they have actually used the program. It's in their own words. There is a TED talk, TEDx talk on my website. You can see, maybe that will also give you a thing about scientific discovery. I like to bring back the emphasis on first discover a theory, and then you test it, go into experimentation. So that is where, the discovery up to that you can do while you're in high school too. Then you continue on, kids go on continuing, prototyping, testing. Kids are going and presenting some of those, into competitions. They are just going on and on and on. So again, it is the individual students, once you spark that, they're able to even make time for it. Okay, so if there are no more questions, I'll stop the recording.